I am really excited about this video, but I'm also so nervous. It's the most personal video I've ever put out there, so stick around, there's a lot to get through. Hello you lovely lot, I'm thatsNathan and welcome back to my channel. Hi! If you've been a watcher of my channel for quite a while, you'll know that I've hinted quite a few times in my videos about a period of my life that changed me forever. It's a lot what my tattoos are linked to. It's something that shaped me and how I am today. I finally feel comfortable enough in myself to share this with you, and I'm in a good place in my life and I feel ready to help others. And that's the point of this video. I really hope that my experiences help someone out there that is going through maybe the same thing, or if they're worried about something, I hope I can help. I feel like the more you're aware about something, the more you can try and prevent the worst from happening. But I have a lot to get through, so let's just get into this period of my life. Back in 2008, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and this was a very short illness for me. It sort of just consumed me within a couple of weeks. I didn't really have any symptoms or any symptoms that I paid attention to, and then I was rushed into hospital and I was given 2 hours left to live. It was so quick and it changed my life. It was insane. It was the scariest moment I've ever experienced, and I would not wish what happened to me on my enemies. So just a few facts about ulcerative colitis. It is an inflammatory bowel disease, and usually it attacks your large intestine. It can attack the others, but usually you get ulcers and sores inside your large intestine, and it kind of poisons you. Like, it makes the lining of your colon thin, and if it bursts, then you know that's nearly what happened to me. But you get excruciating stomach pains, you can bleed when you go to the toilet, you don't absorb nutrients, you can't keep anything down. If you're past the point of control like I was, it can end your life. A lot of people live with colitis and they can manage it with steroid tablets and things. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to because it happened so quick. I just want to tell you my story, what happened to me, because the hospital said mine was such a rare case, and for someone so young as well, I shouldn't be here to tell the story. So I feel now that I feel comfortable with myself and I feel happy with myself, I feel like it's time to put my message out there. There's going to be a bit of rambling, and I'm sorry, it's a big part of my life that I feel like I'm ready to get off my chest. This is kind of like a therapy session for me and a story time for you. It'll bring up a lot of memories that I have suppressed for so many years. Let's start at the very beginning. Back in May 2007, I started to bleed when I went to the toilet. All the years my mum had said, don't sit on the toilet for too long, you'll get piles and you'll bleed, and that is what I linked it to. I used to sit on the toilet with my phone, with a Game Boy, reading magazines, everything. I used to sit on the toilet for ages, and looking back now, it's like, when did I have the time? And I thought it was piles. I thought the blood coming out was a pile. It wasn't just a little bit of blood. I would colour the water. The water would be red. It was scary. I didn't think much of it though. Like, the foolishness of me. I was a 17-year-old. I thought I was untouchable. Like, these illnesses that you hear about on TV, that would never come into my world. I ignored it. It seems stupid now, but back then you just don't think to get it checked, and I definitely didn't think to get it checked. At the end of January 2008, this was still happening, and my mum was like, right, you know, this has gone on long enough, let's go to the doctors. Like, just in case, they can give you some pile cream, you know, it'll be fine, it'll be done. They took a stool sample, they gave me some tablets for stomach cramps, and that was that. The next couple of days, I got worse. They prescribed me with some antibiotics because I was being sick. I was going to the toilet around 20 to 30 times a day. Like, it was intense, guys. I was going a hell of a lot. I was completely run down, completely drained. They believed I had some stomach virus, so I was taking them. At this point, I was still managing to go to work. I was living on Imodium tablets. I was trying to stop myself from going to the toilet so much, but you know, when nature calls, you gotta go. I went to work, like, I think it was only like 2 days before I was pulled into hospital. Over the next few days, I was just getting worse. I was so lifeless. I honestly felt like death. My mum phoned NHS Direct, and they said that I could possibly have C. diff, the hospital superbug at the time. It sounded a lot like those symptoms. They prescribed me over the phone some different antibiotics. I went and got them. I started taking them. Over the next 2 days, I got worse. Like, it got so bad. 2 days later, I was told that the tablets were doing more harm than good. So I got taken off of them, and then the following day was when it really all started kicking off. I was rushed to A&E with severe dehydration. Where I was going to the toilet so much, I couldn't keep anything down. I was literally shutting down. They'd done lots and lots of tests on me. I was in there for 4 days first off, and I absolutely hated it. I hated the ward I was on. Like, it was honestly the worst time of my life. I think I was forcing myself to be better even though I knew I wasn't. The doctors honestly did not have a clue what was wrong. So anyway, after 4 days, they let me out of hospital. I was prescribed antibiotics, anti-sickness tablets, put some cocodamol for the pain, and there was literally no improvement. Over the next 4 days, I was still going to the toilet as many times. I was still not keeping anything down. Thinking back now, I remember just being so lifeless on the sofa downstairs. And at this point, I lost so much weight. I think I was about 16 stone, and I dropped to around about 11 stone, I think, in the space of like 2 weeks. I was prescribed some even stronger antibiotics, which no doctors had locally. They were like quite a rare tablet for C. diff, and I had to wait 24 hours for someone to source them. Those tablets did help over the next 4 days with the sickness. I wasn't being as sick so much. The doctor made a home visit to my house the next day, and between my mum and my auntie and the doctor, they decided to rush me back into A&E because I just was not getting better. There was no sign of me improving. At this point, I was so out of it, I literally don't remember hardly any of this. I remember getting to A&E and I kind of collapsed. I couldn't use my legs. They said I was anemic. I'd lost so much blood. I was white. I was so skinny. I was just a bag of bones. So as soon as I got to A&E, they were literally like, there is something seriously wrong with you. I was put in my own room because of the scare of C. diff. They were getting the, I don't know what they're called, you know, the metal plates that they put on your chest for when you're about to go and they need to revive you. They were getting them ready because they thought that was going to happen. None of us really knew how severe this was. I stayed in A&E overnight. I was pumped with morphine, had like drips coming out of me, and it concluded in the morning that I had ulcerative colitis and I would need emergency surgery because they only gave me 2 hours left to live. I remember a doctor coming in first and they were discussing whether they could put me on medication, but then the surgeon said it is way past that. Then they told me what I was having done, and I had never had any surgery done at that point. It broke me, and I remember just crying my eyes out. My whole family were around the bed just crying their eyes out. They said I would have to have my colon removed because my colon was poisoning me, and within 2 hours it would have burst, and that would have been the end of Nathan. They said that I would have to have an ileostomy. Now, if you're not aware what an ileostomy is they cut away your large intestine and remove the poisonous part. Small intestine is sewn to the front of your stomach. Then you have to put this sticky bag on you that collects essentially the poo that comes out. That was the biggest shock of my life when they told me that. I am such a OCD person. I really care about how I look. You know, if this illness didn't take me, I didn't want to be here. It got to that point. Yeah, it was so tough, guys. I remember them all looking over me and they said, you've got to have this operation. And the first thing I said to them was, will I be classed as disabled? Like, is this the end of who I know I am? And they were like, no, you will not be classed as disabled, but I couldn't see it. I didn't know if I could go swimming ever again. I would have a bag on my stomach. I didn't know if I'd ever get anyone. I was like, no one is ever gonna love me. This is it. This is the end. The surgeons came in and they asked me where I wanted my stoma positioned. They went through what was gonna happen. I think it was 90% of my colon was taken out first time. They said there was a very high chance of when I'm down in theatre that I could die. So I had to sign stuff to say, like, just in case I was to die. I remember turning to mum and saying, if there's any money in my bank account, you have it. Spend it all on yourself. And that was kind of like the last thing that I said to her before I was carted off. That was the beginning of something completely different. So down in theatre, I was on the operating table for around about 8 hours. They removed my poisonous large colon, and this means I had my ileostomy. So I think this is a good point in the story to show you my body now. So here's my body. As you can see, not the best body in the world, but hey, I'm alive and I love to eat. I work out, I'm healthy, so what? So as you can see, I have a scar from here to here, which is where they had to really quickly cut me open to remove my colon. So my large colon was here. It's like kind of like a C shape. Yeah, they had to remove all of that because it was all poisonous. The bit that they left was my anal stump. We'll get into that in a bit. So they can do keyhole surgery, but for me, it was just, you know, I had to have it removed. There's the scar. So this is the bag. This is the ileostomy bag. So that's the small intestine there, which pokes on the outside of the skin. And then this bag collects the waste that comes out of it. So you bypass your colon completely. You no longer have it. But yeah, it's really not a bad size. I remember when they told me about it, I was like, oh my God, it's gonna come down my leg. Now I've basically got naked for you. Let me continue with my story. So when I woke up, I was in intensive care for a few days. Was so out of my face. I was so high on whatever drugs they were pumping in me. I remember saying to everyone how much I loved them. I was not allowed to eat or drink anything at this point, but I was obsessed with being cold and ice cubes and stuff. I was going mad over ice cubes. I just wanted ice on me all the time. And recently watching Stranger Things, I was like, maybe I was possessed by a demogorgon thing or something. I don't know. But when I woke up with the bag, it was a see-through bag. My ileostomy looked looked like a tomato. It was literally like this big. It was huge. It took up most of my stomach. So then after a few days, I was transferred to a ward. I had my own little side room, thank God. So for the first week, I didn't gain any weight. I was still so tiny. I still wasn't allowed to eat. I was nil by mouth. Everyone had to come in the room with like gloves and aprons on because of the C. diff. I had like tubes up my nostril, both nostrils. One was a feeding tube, one was a draining tube. I had a catheter in my penis. It was, guys, really. Then I had a drain in my anal stump as well. Because I was so ill, they couldn't complete the whole operation, so they left part of my anal stump that I could possibly get reconnected. But that was still high with colitis at the time. I had all these drains on my arms and stuff, like being pumped in with nutrients and water and things. I couldn't go anywhere without carrying this pole that carried all my bags on it, but they had to retrain me how to walk. My ileostomy actually went to sleep. There was no movement, so the only way they knew if I was progressing was if it started to have some activity, but they were really concerned that I wasn't gaining weight. So in the second week, I had to go back down into surgery and I had a tube put in through my neck. Nutrients was going in and I had to carry this giant silver bag which had like 5,000 calories in a day. As soon as they put that in, I was on the mend. Like, I was gaining weight and everything. Where I was still so weak and everything, the tube that they put through my neck nearly killed me. My legs were swelling so much where I wasn't moving, and I guess water weight and things. My legs were like, I looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, you know? We had to like rub my legs. I had my auntie rubbing my legs and feet all the time to try and like disperse the water and build up. I remember looking in the mirror at myself. It was kind of the first time I'd looked at myself, and I had the tubes coming out my nose and I could see the bag and everything. And my mum was standing behind me and I remember just saying, I don't want to be here anymore. This is the end. I want to go. Like, even though everyone was doing everything to make me better, mentally I was ready to go. This was too traumatic for me, and I was ready to die at that point. I just wanted to go. 2 days later, I started to eat. I was actually allowed to eat. So my mum brought in, and I still remember my first meal. It was 2 rounds of sandwiches, and I had ham, cheese and pickle sandwiches on white bread with a to-share bag of Wotsits, a 4-finger Kit Kat and a Yop strawberry milkshake. They just wanted me to get calories in, so I was allowed to eat whatever I liked at this point. So because I started eating and drinking and things, my ileostomy started working and it was making noises and it was putting out output. I kind of saw the light at the end of the tunnel. Following week, I was out of hospital and back home, and it was the recovery afterwards that took such a long time. So for the next few months, I was backwards and forwards to hospital for checkups and making sure that I was doing okay, and they still couldn't believe that I was alive at this point. The scar down my stomach would not heal. It took forever. While I was awake, they were cutting it, they were putting their hands in. The doctors had their whole fist in my stomach. That's how deep it was. They were just scooping out. It got infected. My mum had to pack it for me with like this seaweed stuff that they give you. It wasn't until actually one of my mum's friends mentioned it to us to try Manuka honey. We put Manuka honey on my scar and it started to heal instantly. Amazing tip for you. If you're struggling with scars, try Manuka honey, because I swear by it now. It healed my scar, and not even the doctor's stuff was doing that. So it healed it literally within a couple of weeks. Within 3 months, I actually went back to work. I refused to let this get me. I just craved to get my life back to normality. I was told at one of my checkups actually that my case was one of the most severe cases they've ever seen. And my colon and the pictures and my story is actually being used at Bournemouth Hospital where I had the operation to like teach people on the signs to look out for and things, which I think is pretty cool. That's my claim to fame. So now was the healing process, which was probably the hardest point for me, because I had to deal with, you know, all the visits to the hospital, the depression, the anxiety, the stress. You know, I think it all hit me. I was so depressed about what had happened to me. I used to ask the question all the time, why me? I suffered hair loss from the stress and trauma and everything because I was so ill. They left that rectal stump in, which still was like, really angry with colitis. I was bleeding and having mucus come from that every single day. Having the ileostomy, I don't need to go to the toilet anymore, like for a poo. Like when you sit down and empty your bowels, I don't have to do that. The ileostomy, you don't know when it's gonna poo. It just poos. So that's why you have to have a bag on it all the time. During the next 5 years, I done a hell of a lot of research just to see if I wanted to be reconnected. I had the chance to be reconnected even though the colitis was still in my anal stump. But after 5 years, the risk of cancer increases. It got to the 5th year and it was kind of like, I don't know what to do. I've done so much research. I've heard so many stories about being reconnected, and a lot of people have successes, but a lot of people don't. And for me, it was a risk I didn't want to take. So I decided to have my anal stump removed and have a permanent ileostomy. So this bag that I have on my stomach now is permanent. This is me for the rest of my life. Honestly, could not be happier, to be honest. During those 5 years, I had to keep going back and having colonoscopies. Even though it was only the anal stump there, they still had to put a camera up my bum and check that there was no signs of cancer, just to see how much damage the colitis was doing. Making the decision was so tough, and going for the operation was even worse. So the second operation, I was healthy. I was somewhat happy, even though I was depressed, anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and all that stuff. The second operation was all about the nerve endings. There were so many things that could go wrong on this second operation. It was the scariest thing ever, because I was so aware of what was happening. There was warnings that you could have erectile dysfunction, bladder issues, not being able to bend, squat, you know, all those things. It was too much for a 23-year-old to have to go through, you know, because of the warnings that it could make you infertile, it could give you erectile dysfunction. I had my sperm frozen. Is another story for another time if you'd like me to talk about that. So after all that, I booked in to have my second operation. This one, I must admit, was a lot easier for me because I wasn't ill. I was able to manage it better. The hardest part for me was I wasn't able to sit on my bum for 3 months. Like, I had to always sit on my side, I had to always lay down, I had to eat standing up, had to eat laying down, I couldn't drive, couldn't go out anywhere. That scar that I've got on my stomach, I also have one on my bum. In the community, they call that a Barbie bum because there's literally no hole. Even though it looks like there is, I must admit they've done a very good job, because if you were to look at it, you'd think there was actually a bum hole there. I've still got the muscles that allow you to clench and everything, so there is no chance of me getting reconnected. Trust me, I did not take that decision lightly. Like I said, I was not allowed to sit, I was not allowed to bend, I was not allowed to squat, I was not allowed to lift anything. It was a lot of doing nothing. It was a lot of time and patience. And then I had to go and have the stitches removed from that as well. One thing I did forget to mention actually is during that 5 years, I was always so tired. The colitis was still very high in my body and it was draining me so much. Having it removed was the best decision of my life. Those 5 years, I was so down and depressed and worried about everything. It kind of gave me a new lease of life. The worry of my bum splitting and, you know, anyone coming too close to me, it was always something that was really scary for me after this. Under this whole umbrella of illness with both of the operations and things, it not only affected me physically, but it did affect me mentally as well. So during the whole period of time, I felt like the only thing I could control was my weight. I took it out on my weight, I think, because I've always been such a large child. If you look back at some of my videos, you'll see that I got so skinny and I was so defensive about being skinny. It was the only thing I felt I could control. I was working out a hell of a lot. I was hardly eating and I still felt like I was fat. I look back at the videos now on my channel and I'm like, oh my god, I literally look like a skeleton. Everything was so messed up. Like, my brain was messed up. I was worried about everything. I felt like I needed someone to always be there and reassure me about everything. I think the mental aspect of it was probably the hardest part for me. I went to therapy sessions, they didn't really help me. I know they help a lot of people, so never turn it down if you get the chance to go. Been on depression pills before, but now I feel like I'm in a place where it's finally getting better. During the whole thing, I could not have got through it without my family. Like, my mum and auntie were always there by my side. I was never alone in hospital. Honestly, I owe them my life, because without them I probably would have died. Also want to give a shout out to one of the nurses at hospital that I know he watches my videos. He really helped me. Mike, thank you so much for all your help in hospital. Like, without you, it would have been a lot harder, trust me. I needed someone like that in hospital for the times that my family weren't there, and you were that person, so thank you so much. As with everything, some friends didn't stick around, they didn't wait around while I was in recovery. It took a hell of a long time for me to recover, and some friends didn't stick around. Some people don't understand anxiety and depression that come from it. That's okay. I mean, they don't have to get it, but you really realise when something like this happens, who are important in your life and who really aren't. It made me grow up. I still get very depressed about things, and I must say it's very few and far between now. It was a hell of a lot. Like, I was hardly ever happy. Like, a lot of my videos in the past, I faked the smile. One thing you will realise is with the bag, you can do absolutely anything you've ever wanted to do. It's really not as bad as it first seems. I was the biggest against it so much. I was scared to show people. I was scared to admit that I had one, and it's honestly, literally changed my life for the better. Just think, you don't have to use public toilets anymore. You don't have to sit on public toilet seats anymore. You can stand and empty your bag. A massive bonus there. You don't have to rush to the toilet. You don't have to be in pain with your stomach hurting that you need to go to the toilet. You don't have that horrible urge feeling. There's so many benefits. You can still swim. You can still go on dates. You can still find someone that you love. You can still do the gym. Possibilities are endless, and just because you have a bag changes nothing. It actually enhances your life so much. Having a permanent ileostomy was probably the best decision. It took me a while to get there. Yeah, admittedly, it has taken me a hell of a long time. Anyone out there that is suffering, or you're going to have this operation in the future, or you're thinking about having it, or you have to have it, I want you to look at this video and think, wow, if he can do it, I can do it, because I was the biggest wimp ever and it changed me so much, and I'm so happy with who I am today. Part of getting the tattoos and everything was a sort of skin over what I had done. I love my tattoos and I didn't just get them for vanity purposes, but thought people would focus on them rather than the bag. No one pays any attention to the bag. I've been around pools, you know, I've been to the beach, gym. No one pays any attention to it. Your mind makes you believe that everyone will be looking at that. No one cares. And if they do look, let them look, because this is my medal. This is what kept me alive. Without this, I'd be dead. So I say, let them look. Take a good look, because this is what saved me. And that is what I want to share my message with. This bag that I have on my stomach is why I am here today. So I'm saying all this now because I feel like I'm at that point where I can talk about all this, and I want to be that person that gives someone out there someone to look to, someone to turn to. I didn't have that. I'd never heard of this illness before. I'd never heard of anyone with it. You will get over it. It will get better, and it's really not the end of the world. It's just the beginning. A lot of my friends and people that I've worked with don't know what I had done. They know that I was in hospital and I'd been ill, but they have never seen the bag before. So this video for me is going to be very interesting to see how they react to it. The people I have shown, and you know, people in my life that have been special and been around, no one's paid any attention. If anything, they're proud and they look up to you because you've been through something that most people would never ever get through. Use the weaknesses in your life as an advantage to yourself to help you grow. It's okay to get down. It's part of life. It's part of an emotion that we're allowed to experience. Embrace it, change, and move on. I find a lot of the information that you search online and a lot of the magazines that you get through once you've signed up to some subscriptions and stuff, it's always old people that focus on this illness, ulcerative colitis, the stomas, the ileostomies, colostomies. It's usually an old person, and it drives me insane because that is not the case. There is so many young people this is affecting in the world. I feel it somewhat insulting for them to put an older person on the cover. There needs to be something for us younger generation. You know, this happened to me when I was 17 and I had no clue about it, and seeing all the magazines that it was old people really put me down because I was like, what is my life? I want to be that person to help people see that it is not just old people that this affects. Would you guys have known that I had this done? No. Do people in the street know I've had this done? No. You don't have to make it obvious. You can live your everyday life. I just want to round up this video with some top tips. One of the things that really changed things for me and in accepting it for me was wearing bands underneath my clothes to cover the bag. I feel like they give me a good silhouette for my body. So these are from Comfizz, and I wear these under my clothes, and it's like you just completely forget the bag's there. You can't see it through your top, and I feel like that really changed my whole look on what the bag was like. I also wear these when I'm swimming in the pool because it looks like it's part of your swim shorts and stuff. I also have made bag covers. If I want to get a nice tan and you don't want the band on, you can put a cover to stop this looking so medical. If you'd like me to do another video on all the accessories that I use, then please let me know in the comments below because I'll be happy to talk about all of it. Eating is a massive thing because in hospital they tell you that you're not allowed to eat the skins on fruit. Got to be really careful with all sorts of vegetables, lentils, and now I am such a foodie. I love food, I love trying new food, and this was the biggest scare for me. I thought I was just going to live on porridge for the rest of my life. You weren't allowed peanuts, and I am obsessed. Anything that doesn't digest, like mushrooms and things. So for a good couple of years I stuck to the things that they said that you should stick to, and I think that helped me a lot. Strangely enough, if I have gravy or if I have honey, it hurts my stomach so much. Peanuts I eat every day without fail. Peanut butter I eat every day without fail. I eat all the fruits, all the vegetables, all the skins, everything. If you slowly introduce them and see what works for you, see what doesn't work for you, only small amounts, and make sure you chew. And if it doesn't work for you, you know to cut that out of your diet. Not the end of the world. I know this video has gone on quite a while. I'm really sorry. I had so much to talk about. But if you would like me to do another video, if you have any questions about anything, please let me know in the comments below. If you want to talk privately, you can message me on my Instagram, or you can send me an email. My email's in the description below. But honestly, I am happy to talk about this openly. I'm happy to do more videos on it. I want to be more of a voice in the Crohn's and colitis world. I've got this platform. I want to use it for the good, you know, and this is such a massive part of my life that I've kept from the online world for so long that I feel I'm ready to talk about it all. I'm ready to share my experiences, and I'm ready to help. I'll respond to every single comment that you have my word on. That was a pretty insightful video into my life, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Did you notice I didn't cry? Nearly, very, very nearly a couple of times, but I didn't. Things get better. And now I'm here. So there we go. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you give me a massive thumbs up and click subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my other videos. I'd also love for you guys to share this around, that you can make other people aware of what I went through and signs, then they can see this too and know that it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I'll leave it there, and I will see you guys in my next video. Are you watching? Who knows?